So, of course, we worked so hard to get the Texas State House to be majority Republican-led. And once in place, then the first thing we saw from Dade Phelan was casinos in Texas was his rally cry. And here, this is so many years ago, 3, 4 years ago, I don't remember. Our border was completely open. The trafficking was happening. The atrocities on that border to the people that were being trafficked, to the Texans that lived on the border. Homelessness was epic. Our currency was like water going, completely just being printed out of existence. And Dade Phelan comes in and talks about casinos in Texas. We did all this work for the Republicans to take the state house, and Dade Phelan says casinos in Texas, as if that is the burning issue on the minds of the people of Texas. And, right then and there, I knew he's a company man. My opinion on him changed in a minute. And I'm not taking a position on casinos in Texas. That's an issue for another day. But my point being is that was such an obvious dodge, and so what I'm, how did that? Tell me about that experience of just taking on the Texas establishment of, how we went from. We went from an establishment, Rino, Texas. Today, those guys are largely defeated. Just give me your opinion on that whole saga.
Yeah, Texas is the best government money can buy.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, and that session, the 87th legislative session, it should be called the no lobbyists left behind session.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not kidding you. There are 150 state reps, 31 senators, and I think each state rep had probably 5 or 6 lobbyists that were appointed to them. So there are literally 6 different lobbyists that were coming to me trying to advance lobbying and are trying to advance casinos in Texas. It was insane. And that became the priority in the 87th session. Not closing our borders. No how, no way. It was advancing casino gambling. Meanwhile, my opponent, Dan Crenshaw, is working with Democrats in Washington, D.C. on a piece of legislation. And there are only 4 or 5 Republicans in Congress, in the House that got behind this, but Crenshaw was one of them. And so while Donald Trump out of office was saying, close the border, Joe Biden was saying, well, we can't do that. We need legislation to close the border. No, you don't. We've closed the border now. We didn't need any legislation to do it. The courts have stood behind the president in closing the border. But yeah, Biden said, you got to close the border. So too did 100% of the Democrats and Dan Crenshaw. And what it would have allowed was 5,000 people into the country a day. And once it hits 5,000, you allow another 1,400 in. So for a total of 6,400. I mean, it's just the most ridiculous thing that you have ever heard, and it would have amounted to about 1.9 million additional people into the United States every year. The system was broken, and Dan Crenshaw and the Democrats and the Biden administration wanted to smash it into a million pieces.
Yeah, I mean, through all this activism you're doing on your end, I'm doing on my end, we're really exposing these people to such a great extent, and they're being laid bare. Those actions, that's clearly on behalf of the globalists.
Yeah.
Dan Crenshaw is a globalist. You look at his track record from top to bottom. Everything that we've been fighting at the state level, we've been fighting an establishment effort on the state level. It's like you want to go now in the big leagues and take him on the same fight up against Dan Crenshaw.